wife's great-grandfather in the 1940s bought a farm. In the 1950s, he made a will. He had 7 children. And in that will, he drew a map. Each child got a section. Every grandchild had a place to build. And today, generations later, if Julie and I decided to go to Rusape, we'd have a plot waiting for us because of one man who generations ago took the time to write it down. This is the power of a will. This is the power of a legacy. And today, we're going to show you how you can begin to build yours. You know what time it is. The conversation starts now.
We're going to start on the advantages and speak about the consequences of failing to plan your estate. So the first one is it establishes and creates your legacy. And for it to land better today, I'm going to give examples of situations that I've come across, situations that I've witnessed, I've been involved in. So I'll give my own personal example. My great-grandfather bought a farm, I think in the 40s in Rusape. In the 50s, he made a will. And in his will, he made provision for all of his children. He had 7 children. My grandfather was one of the 7 children. And he said each one will stay in a particular section. He identified it. There was even a map and where each and every single person would stay and their families. So even today, if Terry and I decided to go to a rural area in Rusape, well, my
rural area, not my rural area.
Okay, yes, my paternal rural area. If we went there, we've got a space to build because all of us have been provided for. And it wasn't only for my great-grandfather's children, but also for their children, and we are the second generation, well, actually the third, that are benefiting from it. And everybody knows where you're supposed to be. So there's no fight of you're in my space or someone else's space. So it's clear because there was a will. And the second advantage is that your desires and your wishes are known even after you die. Like we said, it's uncomfortable to talk about death, but we're all going to go that route unless the Lord Jesus Christ comes. Do you have an example?
Yeah, but so just going around desires, and sometimes it's so easy in these conversations to think, I still don't have any properties. But what we've started seeing as we've researched around wealth is that you find that more than assets, it's values that determine whether something outlives you. So you find with lots of wealthy families, things go wrong for them or they fail, not because of bad investments, but because of what we call values drift. What does values drift mean? It means every successive generation comes in and begins to define what success is for themselves, what good spending is for themselves, and what work looks like. And that's where we get these things like entitlement, because no one has provided a shared code of conduct for the family. So if you are thinking, maybe I don't have assets, but the thing is, more than assets, what you'd want to put across so that your desires are known is a family constitution. A family constitution that's based on your values, that says to the next generation, this is how the Mugova family works. This is what we define as success. And this is, when we are spending, this is how we spend. So that every person, have you had those situations where people will say, Terrence was such a nice guy, but his children, Sometimes it's because we focus so much on what we want to live for them as opposed to what we want to live in them. And if you don't have anything in them, that's where stuff dies the moment someone else comes on. All right, Julie, you want to move on?
Thank you for sharing that. Some years ago, we had started on a family constitution. And I would encourage you to even involve your children in it. You'll be amazed at what comes out. Yeah. Like one of our children said, kindness must be a core value in our constitution. 100%. And I thought, they've experienced something, so it's important. So that's part of the legacy that you can leave for your own children. Yeah. So the third advantage of estate planning is if it's done well, should you fall into unfortunate circumstances as an individual, such as bankruptcy, then your legacy remains protected. So I'll give you an example. So if, for example, you have decided to place your properties in a trust, should you make a bad business call or fall into unfortunate circumstances?
Or simply live in Zimbabwe. You know how it is, yeah. stuff happens, your business fails, not because you're bad at business, but there's things that change, and there's nothing you can do, at least to some level. Your assets won't go under the hammer. The business may fail, but doesn't mean everything you've worked hard to accumulate and build goes down the drain with it. So it also gives you that protection, especially in markets similar to ours, where things change a lot, sometimes not for the better. All right?
Yeah, thank you for that, love. So you'll find that, let's say, you find for some people that are into business, they will say, I want to take a loan, and they will put as security their immovable home. So if it's in your personal name, if you fail to repay that loan, then that home will be sold because that's the security that's there. But imagine for a moment if that home is in the name of a trust and you take a loan in your personal capacity. If you fail to pay, the recourse is just against yourself. You've got nothing to your name, but if your home is the inheritance that you wish to leave for your beneficiaries, for your children, then at least that's protected. They will still deal with you as an individual. You won't escape the consequences, but the property will be saved and your beneficiaries will still be able to benefit.
Okay.
So the fourth advantage is that it minimizes uncertainties and reduces potential disputes amongst beneficiaries.
Yeah.
So one case that I am aware of, some years ago, a father had a home that he wanted to leave for his children. So let's say, I'll give Terence as the example. So Terence has got his 4 children. He will write in his will that I am leaving this house to TJ. He also writes another will, I am leaving this house to Talia. He writes a third will, I am leaving this house to Joey. And then he writes the last one, I am leaving the house to TJ.
To Jordan.
To Jordan, yes.
So this actually happened, where the father decided to, maybe it was seasons where he felt this child is doing really well. I love you. I'm going to give you the house. Then the child bores him, and then he's like, no, Mel, you the one I love now. You are getting the house. And each one got a will.
So when the father then died, each one is coming brandishing the will, saying the house is mine.
It's mine.
So you can imagine the confusion. Yes, he did his estate planning, but he did not do it well.
Yeah.
So in terms of the law, the master then says, okay, which one is the last will? The last will is, let's say, in the name of Jordan.
Yeah.
They say, okay, that's the valid one. But of course, it's not without its challenges. It was challenged. And long story short, each and every one of the children had to then share in equal shares.
Yeah.
So the point of the story is much...
But that was after a legal battle amongst the children. And I think as I don't know about you, but how many of you would want your children and loved ones to cry for you when you pass away, by show of hands? Just cry in terms of we miss you. All right. How many of you actually want your children to miss you? Oh, some of you are fine with them just saying, good riddance. Okay. Okay. By show of hands again, how many of you want your children to cry about you after you die? No one, right? This is when they start crying about you because you are creating more fights in your death. And these can persist and become permanent where children do not speak to each other. Or because of one property that you could have just put down and said, it's going to this person or it should go this particular way. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that. So it's important that we do it well to avoid the disputes. And the last advantage that we'll share today is it anticipates and makes provision for tax and legal implications and liabilities.
Okay.
So if you remember the last time we did speak to say it's important for you to plan your estate in such a way that your beneficiaries won't be deprived of what they're due to get. So let's say your estate is worth 100,000. In your will, you say, I will give this house to so-and-so, and they will benefit from it. It's important, and we'll speak about this when we speak about wealth planning as well and savings, that you make provision for the taxes. Because if the property is in your individual, your personal name, you will pay the master's tax, which is 4%, for that property to then be transferred from your estate into your beneficiary's estate. Okay. There's other taxes that are involved, which we will speak of subsequently.